everybody, and welcome to the official launch video for the latest section of England Coast Path, or ECP, to open in Cumbria. My name's Ange Harker and I'm a lead advisor at Natural England, working specifically on the ECP in West and South Cumbria. For audio description purposes, I'm a short white woman with long dark hair, nose piercings and black waterproof clothing. I'm in the town of Millom in southwest Cumbria, standing against this incredible backdrop of sea, sand and salt marsh in the upper Duddon estuary, with a wide range of snow-capped and cloud-topped Lake District mountains in the distance. It's quite atmospheric here today, added to by birds calling from the skies and sands around me, and a slight breeze, so hopefully the weather won't interfere with the sound too much. During this video, we'll share some more amazing views from this new 11-mile stretch between Salcroft and Green Road on the western side of the Duddon estuary, along with a celebration of the whole 80 miles of England Coast Path opened in the northwest so far. In particular, we'll share some highlights from our previous stretch opening event held in St Bees in September 2021. While we delayed the in-person celebration as long as we could during the pandemic, we know that it was still not completely safe for everybody to attend, despite our focus on accessibility and inclusion. So we took plenty of photos and we'll try and share a flavour of the day here too. On that note, we're also producing two versions of this video, one with captions, one with British Sign Language interpretation. These can both be accessed on Natural England's YouTube channel if you prefer a different version. Basic audio description will be written into the narration throughout either video. For example, team members will introduce themselves by name and give you a bit of information about what you can see behind them. So what is this England Coast Path business all about? I'm going to hand over to my colleague Claire Green to explain more.
The England Coast Path is a brand new national trail, opening in stages around the country. National trails are long-distance walking and recreation routes across England and Wales, managed by local partnerships and Natural England. The England Coast Path will be around 2,700 miles long, not only doubling the amount of national trail in the UK, but creating the longest coastal footpath in the world. It will be railway marked with regular information signs so you can easily find your way around and know what you can do and where. The idea is you can come to the coast and know that you'll be able to go for a walk without being a map reading or outdoor expert. The trail also brings with it the coastal margin. In many places this means that you can also legally explore the area between the footpath and the sea for the first time, creating many more ways in which you can engage with nature at the coast. So let's begin our celebration by sharing the video which was produced when the Whitehaven to Salcroft stretch opened earlier this year. You'll see appearances and voiceovers from Lord Benyon, Minister for Rural Affairs and Biosecurity, Natural England's Chair, Tony Juniper, our Cumbria Area Manager, Helen Kirkby, and of course, the glorious scenery of the West Cumbrian coast, featuring drone footage of some of the beaches, dunes, farmland, towns, villages, industry, and views to be found en route.
It's a really great pleasure to be part of the opening of this Whitehaven to Salcroft section of the UK's coastal path. This is a new part of so far 430 miles of coastal path that is proving so popular with walkers and visitors alike. This forms very much part of our 25-year environment plan, a key part of which was connecting people with nature, and there can be no better way of connecting people than giving them access to our beautiful coastline, the blue and green parts of our landscape, which are so important for our physical health, our mental health, and have proved to be an absolute lifeline during the pandemic. The coast is for us all to enjoy. And the coastal path is really important because it provides a high quality walking experience amongst some of the most stunning scenery in this country. And we know from experience elsewhere that it is an enormous boost to the local economy as well. This is an entirely virtuous circle, and it's a fantastic moment for the communities that are connected by this path. Here on this path, there are the most wonderful, stunning contrasts between sand dunes and cliffs, between the Cumbrian mountains and even an industrial landscape around Sellafield. But this forms part of our ambition right around the coast, and it's led by Natural England and DEFRA and access authorities, but landowners are absolutely crucial, as are local and national stakeholders. So on behalf of DEFRA and behalf of the Secretary of State, I want to say thank you to everybody involved. This has been an enormous piece of work. It's a great moment for local communities and for people who really want to enjoy our stunning coastline.
Natural England is delighted to declare the opening of the Whitehaven to Silecroft section of the England Coast Path. The England Coast Path, when completed, hopefully later this year, will, at 2,700 miles long, be the world's longest coastal walking trail. This 32-mile section, like all of it, has taken a great deal of work. Some 500 owners, occupiers and other interests have been consulted, and not only are we opening a path, but also the coastal margin between the path and the sea, enabling people to enjoy a wide diversity of different settings, from dunes to beaches and from rocky shores to heathlands, all set within the spectacular scenery of West Cumbria. The benefits of this section of the path, and indeed all of it, will be very considerable, not least in connecting people with nature. This was a key aspect of the government's 25-year environment plan, was to connect people with nature in order to realise the many benefits we all gain from that, including for our physical and psychological well-being. There will also be many benefits for the economy, with coastal tourism attracting something like £1.8 billion annually of additional economic benefit across the country, and we hope that this section of the path, and indeed like all sections of the path, will be for the future bolstering businesses in ways that not only are beneficial for the economy but also for people's health and well-being.
The Cumbrian coastline has some lovely quiet beaches, areas of sand dune, areas of amazing views and areas that are great for bird watching. On this stretch of coast alone we have 2 World Heritage Sites, and shortly we will have a coastal footpath that'll link from the Scottish borders right down through Cumbria and beyond to the Welsh borders. Much of the Cumbria coast has designations to protect the important natural environment, but we've worked hard with partners to ensure that any visitors to the coastline can still enjoy a great connection with nature while not disturbing the sensitive wildlife. When most people think about Cumbria, they think about the beautiful scenery of the Lake District,
about Beatrix Potter and about the steamers on Ullswater or Windermere. They may even think about the tourist hotspots of Ambleside or Keswick. But the Cumbrian coastline has such a lot to offer. We know from our survey evidence that a coastal path is likely to bring a boost to the local economy, with people requiring lunches, evening meals or places to stay. We have worked closely with our main delivery partner, Cumbria County Council, who have been essential in the planning and establishment phase of the path. They will remain a close partner and be responsible for the maintenance and ensuring the path can roll back as necessary in the future. We know that those lucky enough to enjoy a connection with nature are more likely to act in pro-environmental ways, and we want to encourage this so all communities are invested in and are able to make a difference.
Hi, I'm Danielle Radley, an advisor on the North West England Coast Path team. At the beginning of the video, you may have spotted some walkers out enjoying the path. These were our amazing ECP pioneers who walked the Whitehaven to Salecroft stretch for us on the day that it opened, the 31st of March 2021, during coronavirus lockdown. Because we couldn't hold a celebration event or even go and walk it ourselves, the local communities got involved and sent us their photos, video clips and thoughts on their new path. In separate, safe groups of 6 or fewer, our walkers covered most of the new 32-mile stretch between them, and we love seeing their photos, which you can see in the video now. Thank you for all your help and being our Day 1 pioneers. We're so glad you're enjoying the new path.
And now over to the Whitehaven to Salecroft celebration event itself. My name's Jerry Rusbridge and I've been the delivery leader for the England Coast Path in the Northwest since the project began in around 2011. So it's been a real privilege for me to see this West Cumbria stretch develop from start to finish, a long but very rewarding process. As you can see, I'm standing on a huge rock-built seawall with the sea and sands away to your right. This is Hodbarrow Lagoon on our brand new stretch of the coast path. For now though, I'd like to return to the 22nd of September when staff from Natural England, DEFRA, Cumbria County Council and many other partner organisations and individuals we've worked with over the years came together in St Bees on a rather windy but thankfully dry day. This was our first opportunity since early 2020 to catch up, and we did it in style. You're now watching a slideshow of images from the day, including photos from the morning setup, speakers from Natural England and other organisations, musician Mike Willoughby, and our afternoon festivities, a guided walk on the England Coast Path, all-terrain wheelchair demonstrations from the Morecambe Bay Partnership, and beach cool taster sessions from Jenny Grange. And not forgetting, of course, those classic seaside refreshments, chips and ice cream. The focus of the day was accessibility and inclusivity in the outdoors. One of our guest speakers was Mohammed Dalek from Carlisle, Chair of Mosaic Outdoors. Mohammed is well known for both campaigning for more inclusive access and also facilitating group activities in the countryside for people of colour. It was a real pleasure to hear from him and be challenged to do more. Mohammed began by acknowledging the increased opportunities the England Coast Path provides for diverse communities in the area to get out and enjoy the countryside. But he also talked about the barriers which often remain, and these are as simple as tackling the idea that you need expensive kit and clothing to be part of the club, or that enjoying the outdoors means going for a long hilly walk during the day and being back whilst cafes and facilities are still open. In fact, through his volunteer work, Mohammed said that most summer visitors arrive in the evening for a picnic and find facilities closed. These are some of the more subtle barriers, contributing to an idea that some groups of people are more welcome than others. But we were also told of people who'd been refused accommodation in the lakes because of their name alone, an act of direct discrimination with an unequivocal and unacceptable message. Is that how we want people to see Cumbria, we were asked? Mohammed asked us to look around the room and question how the various organisations and stakeholders attending represented the UK population. Were the people of colour and were the young people? What could we all do to attract a more diverse range of applicants to our own organisations and projects so that more people could see themselves represented within the environment sector? The next generation's passion for nature will be vital to its survival as the world tackles biodiversity loss and climate change. It's not enough for only some sectors of the population to have access to nature and landscape in order to develop this interest and to act in an environmentally friendly way as a result. We need everybody to care. We heard about population statistics which highlighted the progress yet to be made. The Black, Asian and minority ethnic population of the UK is around 20%. Yet our sector employs less than 1%, and there are some similar patterns when looking at, for example, LGBT people or those with disabilities or chronic illnesses. How well are we listening to different demographics' lived experiences on how they access the countryside? Are we actively going to find out this to make sure that we're not just being tick box organisations? Natural England's Connecting People with Nature and Countryside Code teams are working hard to develop our outreach, but there will always be more that we can do within the environmental sector and as individuals within the outdoor and nature community to encourage more people to discover the benefits and joys of the outdoors. Our next speaker at the event was Debbie North, and my colleague Jem will be along in a moment to tell us more.
Hello, I'm Jen Green and I'm a lead advisor working on the Lancashire stretches of the England Coast Path. I've worked for a long time on more inclusive access to outdoor exercise and recreation, and I'm really excited that the new section of the England Coast Path from Havrig to Green Road is some of our most accessible yet, thanks to both the terrain and the changes to the infrastructure installed here. So our second guest speaker at the September event was equally exciting. Debbie North has always been a lover of the Cumbrian Fells and the coast-to-coast long-distance path, which of course starts in St Bees, where we all gathered. Since becoming a wheelchair user, Debbie revisited the coast-to-coast using an adapted route and all-terrain wheelchair called a terrain hopper.
Debbie's talk was an entertaining and emotional guide through her story and plenty of useful practical tips for us all to bear in mind when designing new access. We'll share some of these with you now. Meanwhile, the visuals on your screen are the additional drone footage we commissioned for the other stretches of the England Coast Path in Cumbria. Allenby to Whitehaven, which opened in 2014, and Walney Island opened in 2020. Alfred Wainwright's classic coast-to-coast route begins in St Bees and coincides with the England Coast Path for a short distance on the cliffs. With the recent announcement of plans to make the coast-to-coast a national trail, it was both an apt topic for us on the day, and also a very personal one for Debbie, having not only made the journey multiple times with her husband Andy, but even falling in love on the trail. After becoming a wheelchair user, Debbie and Andy worked up some adaptations to the route, using bridleways and lanes to, in theory, avoid physical barriers for the wheelchair. Of course, that's not always what they found. On a positive note, the Lake District section was better than expected, but in the Dales they encountered challenges such as eroded riverside paths in Swaledale, making the terrain hoppers' use quite dangerous. However, this section has since been upgraded to a far more accessible cycle route. One of the biggest problems was crossing a major road and sharing tracks and lanes with large vehicles. In one location, quarry workers agreed to halt work for a period of time to let them through, before being able to progress along the spectacular North York Moors. The day-to-day issues often revolved around individual items of infrastructure. Bridle gates with bars across the bottom allow horses and bicycles to pass over, but in preventing motorcycle access, also prevent many of the motorised mobility scooters on the market from passing. Gates which, in Debbie's words, require a PhD to open, with various awkward and difficult mechanisms involved, and even locked bridleway gates were an issue. We also heard that the biggest barrier for many people is the cost. A rugged hand wheelchair for day-to-day use might be around £4,000, and a terrain hopper might be around £12,000, with trampers and other brands of motorised all-terrain wheelchairs somewhere in between. There are some places where you can hire or borrow these, thanks to organisations such as Morecambe Bay Partnership and the National Trust, but these are relatively few and far between. Debbie suggested that setting up more wheelchair hire places would be a really worthwhile and effective way of spending funds allocated to the connection of people from all demographics with nature, reiterating what Mohammed said, to ensure that everybody has a chance to engage with the outdoors and have a role in its future. Debbie's new charity Access the Dales aims to help. Bringing us back to the coast to coast and her adventures with Andy, we found out that after a short spell of cancer, Andy sadly passed away last year. His wishes were for Debbie to carry on exploring and adventuring, and for a new children's all-terrain wheelchair to be purchased for use in the Yorkshire Dales. So on being asked what's next, Debbie's aim is more of the same, to grow the charity to provide more facilities so more people can experience the freedom her own wheelchair grants. A festival of accessible access is also planned in the Dales this year, but we are advised these improvements should not be left to charities alone. Much like Mohammed's talk, hearing from Debbie was a really powerful call to arms and certainly helped us on the England Coast Path team to consider accessibility as carefully as we can. As I mentioned earlier, our latest stretch is one of our most accessible yet, with some long sections free from gates and changes to infrastructure elsewhere to improve access for as many people as possible. If you're keen to try out this section on your own all-terrain wheelchair, please contact the team and we can advise you. But on that note, it's now time to return to Millom for the 9th of February ribbon cutting.
Ange here again, and we're back to where we started, the old ironwork site at Millom, with that amazing view up the estuary to the mountains once more, on the brand new Salcroft to Green Road stretch of England Coast Path, which opened to the public today. Some places like Kia have been walked and loved by the local community here in Millom for years. Other places, closer to Salcroft, involve brand new, never walked before routes. But all of it today has become part of the world's longest coastal footpath, and we can't wait for you to explore it and share your thoughts and adventures. So without further ado, here we are, cutting the ribbon on the new England Coast Path in Millom, southwest Cumbria. Doing the honours is Jerry, our northwest delivery.
Ready?
5,
2, 1.
Jen and Ange here again to say thank you so much for joining us today. To round off this Salcroft to Green Road launch celebration, we're leaving you with some teaser photographs from across this new 11-mile section. You'll see walkers and wheelchair users exploring parts of the route and taking in beaches, lagoons and seawalls, salt marsh, estuaries, villages, mountains and the beautiful west coast sunsets.
To finish off, we'd like to say a huge thank you to all those who have played a part in developing the whole 81 miles of England Coast Path in Cumbria so far. All of our England Coast Path team members, past and present, including our area team, national trails, open access and mapping teams, and our conservation colleagues who have been absolutely fundamental to this work. Cumbria County Council, our main partner, and their contractors. The council have helped with route development from the start and organised and carried out all of the works you now see on the ground. All the local communities along the coast for their input, support and enthusiasm. It's yours now to make the most of. All the landowners, large and small, and farmers that we worked with, who are also important community members. We know this process hasn't always been simple, but we are so grateful for your help in getting the best results and balance for everybody involved. And finally, you for taking the time to join us tonight. Please do get out there and share your adventures on social media using the hashtag England Coast Path.
To find out which bits of the England Coast Path are open in Cumbria and beyond, and to help plan your trip, please visit nationaltrail.co.uk. To find out where we're up to with the next stretches, please visit gov.uk and search for England Coast Path. It's over to you now. Happy exploring.